introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so my name is Emilia Cruz. I'm a visual artist residing in Simi Valley, so Ventura County. I was born in San Diego though and moved from there. And I am 28 years old. So yes, first generation Mexican American, and yeah, that's the basis.
Yeah, you said you're a visual artist. Can you share what kind of mediums you work with?
Yeah, well, more specifically right now, paint, so oil paint. I was really into using acrylic paint for a while there, but right now I've been loving oils. But there's so many different mediums that I would love to learn more about. I kind of got into ceramics for a little bit before pandemic. I took a ceramics class at my school, and yeah, that medium was amazing. More like tactile art. I'd love to get into that. So yeah, I mean, there's so much more I'd like to do, but right now I think most people know me as a painter. Yeah.
That's really great. You know, you're at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So you get a lot of chances to branch out.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you share a little bit how you were introduced to self-help graphics? Was this your first time here, or?
Man, how many years ago? I think, so Joelle was the first person to reach out to me, and that was years ago. I think that was when I was just starting Art Center as well, and at the time that I was, I think, exhibiting at Shimaya. I think that's how he found me, and anyway, so he invited me to have like a tour of the space and introduce me to all the different artists that have worked here, and just everything that the space does for the community as well. So I want to say that was probably like 4 or 5 years ago, so maybe not that long ago, but in my head it feels like that. And so ever since then though, I've been coming to the exhibits here or to any community events. I have exhibited work I think a few times here, and then I think Betty reached out to me about this opportunity to come and work with Dewey and work on a few monoprints. So that was my first time ever working on these, and I was excited but really nervous. But yeah, so it wasn't my first time here, but it was my first time working on a project here. Yeah.
And we're happy to have had you. And we hope you come back for other projects.
Yes, I'd love to.
But you just mentioned it, but so you were working on a specific set of monoprints. So can you share a little bit about the thought process behind the images you chose, and how was it for you translating paintings to monoprints?
Yeah, so initially I had no idea what was going to happen or what the process was going to be like. So, Dewey kind of explained to me that the drawings should be simple enough to where I could paint them quickly, and that's something I'm not used to. With my paintings, I will take hours, that are equivalent to months, or it takes a while, and I take my time on all the details and all that. So my brain, I couldn't compute like, oh my god, like what am I gonna do? How can I make a painting in 15 minutes? That's crazy. So the first set of drawings I did not like, but it helped me a lot, because after that I realized, okay, I have to bring in larger drawings, and I have to just kind of just go with the flow, just work quicker. And I work mostly, I'm drawn to portraits, so my work is, a lot of it is portraiture and figurative work. So I still wanted to try to bring that into, this process of how to create a portrait using the Monoprint process. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but yeah. So and Dewey did show me a few examples of artists that I love who also did portraits. So I was like, okay, this is possible. I just have to figure out how I can do it. And another thing with my work is I'm really drawn to vivid or bright colors. So I try to incorporate that with this process as well. Yeah, I'm forgetting what else.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit about who were the subjects in your pieces? Or I know you mentioned portraits, but was there anybody that you wanted to highlight in those portraits, or is there always a face that you go to?
My sister, for sure. She's my little muse. And I think I did a couple of self-portraits. Maybe two. For sure there was a self-portrait in there. And that's just, it's easy. I'll just, take a quick picture of myself and use that as the portrait that I can use. I also included a cuervo in there. So not a portrait, but I like, including crows into my work as much as I can. So they call my dad El Cuervo. So every time I put a crow in there, it just kind of reminds me of him. So that was someone else that was included in that. I forget. Another piece that was in a portrait. I also made what was it? So the back of the head. It was a braid. I did that as well. That's something I've been really, or you'll see it a lot in my work. The people in my portrait or my pieces have braided hair, and I think that goes back to this idea of, as a kid, you're usually taught by your mother or your grandma, or even if they're not blood related, it's someone that cares about you enough to kind of help you take care of your hair. And so I like that idea that you just connect with someone as they're braiding your hair. So that shows up in a lot of my work. So that's one of the pieces I made as well.
I think that's definitely like a communal experience, right? Getting your hair taken care of and learning how to take care of it yourself.
Yeah. It just feels so good.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about your experience in the studio. Were there any surprises that came to you? I know going into it you probably had a certain idea, but did you have to adapt that idea once you came to the screen?
So I always have super high expectations of myself, and it's something I have to talk myself out of, honestly, because a lot of the times when you're trying something new, it'll humble you real quick. That's kind of what happened with ceramics too. But yeah, like I had mentioned going into this, Dewey did explain that it's a quick process, but it wasn't until I actually tried it that I realized, this is, I have to get this done a lot quicker than I'm used to. The paint will dry fairly quickly, so kind of adapting to that pressure, but also not, feeling that pressure, because I also want the piece to come out with a nice flow versus me just stressing out too much about it. So it was just kind of balancing that sort of the time limit, I guess. And then honestly, once I got the hang of that, though, it was pretty fun. I definitely was sweating most of the time, and Dewey would like check it and be like, no pressure, but you got this much time until the paint starts to dry. I was like, oh, okay. But I found that really cool in the end, because I ended up using these really large brush strokes and not really focusing too much on blending, but how I can use different colors to still create a nice blending effect without actually having to blend it. And the results were really cool to see in the end. But yeah, definitely a learning process, and I'd love to keep learning more, because I was just like, a really few, it was just like a few days of getting that done. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got to have a little bit of fun
Yeah.
in there in the stressful moment.
Yeah.
But is there anything else you'd like to share about the overall experience? You know, were there any learning pieces that you'll take moving forward with your art practice?
Definitely being more loose with my work. I think I did that before, you know, you know, in the last few years, like I said, I got more nitpicky with all the tiny little details. So I think after working on these pieces and liking how the results were there, it kind of changed my perspective now on the portraits that I make at home. So that's something, you know, that I still have in mind now, is, you know, feeling more free with the work versus, you know, trying to make everything super meticulous and perfect. And just overall, it was really cool, you know, working with Dewey, and then super cool teacher, really chill and knowledgeable. And then I loved also having or just meeting everyone that came through, because every time I was here, there was someone new to meet, and that was really awesome. And learning, you know, that there was all these, has been and still are, all these amazing artists kind of walking through this space. It just, you could feel it while working here. You're like, wow, okay, so this person was here before. That's so cool. So that experience alone was really, really awesome. Yeah.